Welcome to 30 Minutes with NASCAR 14. This is the fourth version of NASCAR from Technics, but it's the first one that I have bought. I am a little bit of a NASCAR fan in terms of games, and I have watched a few races on TV. Now, before anybody turns around and says, oh, it's boring, it's just going around in circles, it's a little bit different to that. It's a different type of discipline to circuit racing. But anyway, let's move along. Now, just to let you know, I am using an Xbox 360 controller for this. This is the PC version of the game, by the way. And I am getting a false feedback. I know I've seen on some of the forums people complaining that it doesn't work, but for me it is. Obviously there has been at least one patch that has been downloaded, so hopefully it's sorted out for everybody else. So going from the bottom to the top, now you notice this is called Race Shop, which we'll come to a little bit later. Let's start off down here. You've got the normal leaderboards, pins. Now this is something that's rather nice. You can choose driver, state flags or world flags. And basically what happens is that you pick one, so I pick England, and you've got a little tick next to it, and that pin in multiplayer will now appear against your name. Now I must admit I haven't tried online yet. I haven't really seen any races up, so I don't know how good that is. Online race results, photographs and replays. Now, interesting things about replays, you can see that I've actually made a few. I haven't managed to do a full length race just to see if that works. This one at Michigan, the race was over 30 minutes long, so it has managed to save that. I did try a few days ago to do a full-length 200 lap race at Michigan, but unfortunately I had to leave after about 80 or so laps, which brings on to another subject that this game is lacking, and that is an in-race save option. Just something simple, like such as when you come into the pits, just being able to save. Now, before anybody sort of says, well, no game does that. Well, 10 years ago, there were IndyCar racing games published by Codemasters, and both of those games actually had the save option when you went into the pits. Now, I know some people would turn around and say, well, people would cheat by keep going back to replays because they crashed, etc., etc. Well, that's their option if they want to play like that, as far as I'm concerned. I just want an in-race save option so I can do full-length races. Okay, that's my little bit of a moan. The other thing I would say on replays, when you're in a race and a caution flag is shown, then you get the option to go into the pits, and you go into the pits and you see your guys come out and they fix the car or change the tyres, add fuel, etc. When you're watching a replay, you don't see any of that. It just cuts that totally out, so you're back at the queue of cars on the tail end, and that's it. Now, when you do a normal pit stop within a race and you see your car comes in, you get the guys coming out, etc., etc., etc. When you watch a replay at that point, you do see your car coming into the pits. You see it parking, but you don't see the pit crew. And then you see your car going off. Whether that's just something they didn't have time to do, it's a bug or something, it's just one of those little things that just takes away from the immersion. Anyway, in options you've got the controller options, game settings. Let's just have a quick look. Attack speed units, I use miles per hour. Draft wake effect is on, and it's not, the draft wake effect isn't very noticeable. It's just sort of a sort of swirl of air coming off both sides of the car in front. It looks quite nice, to be perfectly honest. Driver assists, I have automatic at the moment, everything else off. Doesn't mean I'm a very good driver, I'm not, it's just it's the way I like to drive. Graphic settings, you've got all the normal things going on here. 60 frames per second, no hardware VSync. That seems to give you a few more frames per second than the 60 and 30, which is with VSync. So if you want to grab a couple of frames per second, then I would set that to this. I've got quite a few set off here. Physical particles disabled, I've got it as, and then the next ones are all NVIDIA specific. Well, I've got an AMD card, so I'll leave those off. Sound, obviously, you can set the music, speech, player engine, opponent's engine, sound effects, speakers, and DW's Boogity. Credits, enter code, and I think this is for some unlocks, I'm not too sure. Okay, let's come out here. So, paint booth. In here you can, it's not as, doesn't have the same scope as say Forza, but it's okay. Let's do one here. This comes up sometimes, although you're using a controller, it still pops up and says what you want to use. But you can see at the top you've got left button is stickers, right button is layers, and we can flick through. So let's stay with car colour, I'm not going to worry about stickers because I want to rush through this a little bit. Finish, you've got metallic, gloss and matte. So we go back to metallic, you can cover the whole area, chassis, body, wheels, lug nuts, spoiler, shark fin, roof fin, splitter, and again all. Now when we're here like this, we just use the right stick to move up and change the colour, and then you've got left trigger and right trigger to go through. So there you go. Recent colours, etc. So it's reasonably comprehensive for the type of game it is. Let's see without saving. Sometimes through the menus it can be a little bit slow, but as you can see, you've got new scheme. You can do a new career scheme, edit one that's already been created, import and export schemes. Okay, highlights. Now this is an interesting one because it's not the name I would associate with this option.
With only 2 laps to go,
this is in fact challenges, and although not as comprehensive and wide in scope as the EA NASCAR games, you know, you've got several challenges, which is nothing to be knocked at, so you know, quite happy about that. Multiplayer, as I said, I've not really done this. You've got quick race, choose race, create race, private race, online leagues, and apparently you can set up leagues with friends, and it keeps it all stored and logged on the progress, which is quite good. This is one of the menus that can take a little while to come out of. It's very slow. Okay. So we've got single player and career. Well, let's cover single player first and do a little bit of a race. Right, so what we've got is race now, which is just a single race, track testing, which is you on your own, or a single season, which is quite interesting. But we're going to go to race now and just pick my career car. And actually we'll go to Michigan because I'm a little bit used to that now. Okay, so we got. I've got it set to race only, no practice time. Opponent difficult 35%, which is good for me at the moment. I did have it set to 50%, and the other cars just went straight away from me. I had no chance. I had it set at 25%, and I was just sort of not exactly screaming through the field, but I was pretty much overtaking everybody. At the moment, 35%. I can keep up with the other cars and overtake some of them, but I haven't got very high up in the finishing at the moment. The last race that I did using this option, I did at 20%, which is 40 laps. The tyre wear and fuel use, this is a multiple, so as I've got this set to 20%, I've set these to 4, so it more honestly represents the length of the race. Let's just bring that down to 10 laps, and we will do a pit stop halfway through. Now this is a funny one. Let's bring it all the way back. Flag rules off. Cautions and black flags. Just black flags. Now you would have thought cautions and black flags would have been the most complex one, but obviously not. Damage and failures totally off. Visual only. Tyres, brakes and engine all full. Okay, so here we are. Now, race shop just takes you straight out of the race. Let's just have a look at tuning. I understand from people on various forums there is a problem with tuning in that you get strange results trying to use one that you've changed. But you've got all the different options for tuning, and what is nice, which is what you need with a NASCAR game, is that you do get the front right, front left, rear right, rear left options on the tyres and wheels. So I'm not going to change any of that. Get the option to change the assists. So let's just go straight in and start the race. Now, as I said, I'm not very good, so you'll have to excuse me. I always race in this type of game with the
Here we go, buddy. Coming to the green.
third person view.
We've been here
So
before,
I like
buddy.
to
Come on, let's
be
pick
aware
it
of
up.
the cars around me. As you can see, below the car just is a sort of radar, and you will see other cars moving into that area that when they try and overtake you. On the top left you've got the lap indicator, the time of your
First is leading by 3 seconds.
lap and personal best. Top right you've got the your position within the race. Bottom left you've got obviously the map of the track, and you've got yourself plus the leader of the race. Bottom right you've got the indicator of the car showing damage and the tyres. And I've got a bit of a problem with the tyre indicator, because if you can make out, it's sort of a pastel blue showing that they're cold, and they will turn green when they're at the right temperature, but it's just not different enough, and I really have to look to see, oh, is it turned green now? So I'm not happy entirely about that. Bottom right you've got the analog display showing your speed, revs, fuel, car temperature and oil. I think that's just oil temperature. Ignore me. Plus indicator showing you the
That's a full second
gear.
you made up on the driver in front. Way to go, buddy.
So overall this is quite nice going around. It's I get quite a good frame rate in the game, so I'm quite happy about that. I should do one more lap and then I'll go into the pits just to show you the pits.
Let's go to work now, buddy. Come on.
Overall, I am really happy with the game itself. It's something that I'm
7 to go.
going to enjoy playing probably every Sunday with a full-length race, but it does
Come on, buddy,
annoy
we're
me
faster.
that
The car
I
in front was
can't
faster.
save, because usually with the full-length races I do like
Looking really good, buddy.
to actually
Inside's clear.
save and do them in parts. So let's just...
Watch your mirror, he's coming up fast. Watch your speed. Let's not give NASCAR a reason to black flag us.
Okay, so here we go. We've got the options on what we want done. So you can repair, so let's just do that. And I hit Y to get all tyres and fill up the fuel.
Okay,
Now-
guys, get ready.
One thing I have noticed is with the cars, and I'm not sure, it could be just my poor driving, but I think there's a possibility that the AI cars, their tyres are already hot at the start of races. I don't think they have to warm up their tyres.
Way to go, boys. Nice pit.
Okay, it's time to push that pace now, buddy. Stay focused. We can do this.
So
You're one
there you
lap
go,
down.
that was a
Time to
pit
shine
stop.
now, buddy. Let's go.
And I think what we'll do is we'll leave this now and return back to the game. Okay, here we are back at the race shop, and so let's just have a brief look at career. Okay, so you've got the schedule, driver standings, view car, research and development. In here you earn money by obviously how far up the grid you finish, and you can get engine upgrades, body shop upgrades and parts upgrades. Sponsors, I don't have any sponsors yet. Driver details. You do get the option to restart the career, and let's do that because I'm not too into the career yet. So you do your name, nationality, etc., etc. Now these questions sometimes come up, and I don't know very much about NASCAR in terms of all these sort of trivia, but you know, it's quite a nice little feature. Let's just go to the schedule, and as you can see, Daytona practice 1. So we've also got event 2, event 3, event 4, event 5. So event 6, event 7, event 8. So when you do look at these different racetracks coming up, as Daytona, and you can see here, which is Charlotte, it's got 2. It does nicely, because it's a motorsport game, cover more or less everything that happens at that track. Now there is a bug, certainly for me and I believe for a few other people, in that if you try to do Daytona Practice 1, the game will actually crash. So I've always had to skip the Practice 1 so far. I've not seen another patch to cure that, or any mention on the forums if that's going to be fixed. But let's just go in here. So you've got the different parts shown. overall, it's very nicely presented, this game. Would I buy the next one in the series? Yes, I do believe I would. Certainly more so than the next Total War game after the debacle. So here you can set the difficulty. Let's up that to 35%. And actually, I'm going to do 50% length races, I think. In which case, I want to double the tyre wear and fuel use. Cautions and black flags. Damage phase full.
The Daytona Duels decide the qualifying.
So here we go, and
Great American
obviously
race,
I don't
the
want to
Daytona
begin
500.
practice, so I'm going to do skip. You've got the race shop, which again just takes you out of the race totally. Tuning, which we've already seen. Change assists. Overview, which just gives you everyone, and as you can see on here rather nicely, you've got practice, qualifying, practice 2, dual, all the different pieces of information that you might want to check up to see your best times as you've been progressing through the weekend. Certain other company who's doing their F1 games would be well to note that it's meant to be a motorsport and should have things like this. People who enjoy those games like to see lots of data. But anyway, if we hit the skip button, it actually asks us what we want to skip to, and got qualification. I can go straight to practice 2, first day Daytona duel, and the end of event. You've already seen a little bit of racing, so I don't see the point in actually showing any of these. So what I'm going to do is, because it's not quite 30 minutes, I'm going to pad the video out with a little bit of a replay. So overall, this game does get the thumbs up from me. If you don't like NASCAR games, I don't think this is going to win you over. But if you got a passing interest in NASCAR games or like NASCAR games, I think you'll pretty much enjoy this. Anyway, thanks very much for watching.